I'm Shayna Erickson from the T-Mobile campaign team. Today, we're going to talk about how to get the result that you want to get, no matter what the situation is. Now, when we're trying to overcome a challenge in our career or reach some new milestone, it's really easy to just focus on the result. And even why not? Like, we're in a results-oriented business. People ask you about your numbers all the time. But if you want a different result than the one you currently have, one you've never gotten before, it's important to understand how you got to that result in the first place, because that way you can change the direction to get the result you do want. A really easy example of this is think about a little kid that burns their hand on the stove when they go to touch it. Well, with a result like that, they're going to develop a belief that touching the stove is bad and not touching the stove is good because their hand hurts. Now, with that belief, obviously they're going to have an attitude about the stove that they didn't have beforehand. Maybe they'll be afraid, or maybe they'll just be a little bit more cautious. But having an attitude like that towards the stove means their actions are going to be different. Next time around, they're not going to touch the stove, which means the result is they won't burn their hand. That just goes to reinforce the belief that touching the stove is bad and not touching the stove is good. Now, obviously, in this example, everything's working perfectly. We don't want a different result than that. But what if we're not getting the result we want? So let's look at another scenario. Let's say this kid grows up, goes to school, and fails a math test. With a result like that, they might develop the belief that they are bad at math. Well, if you believe that you're bad at math, what is your attitude going to be towards it? It's really hard to get excited about a subject that you think sucks or that you think you suck at. So if their attitude towards math is crappy, then their actions are going to be that they're not going to pay attention in class, or they're not going to want to study. And if they're not putting any effort into it, the results are they're going to fail their math test again, reinforcing their belief that they're bad at math. We have scenarios like this all over our career. Let's look at one from recruiting. So let's say I have a belief that database candidates are more difficult to book than people who actively apply to the position. Well, if that's our belief, what's our attitude going to be when we're looking at a database candidate? We're still going to do it because it's like our job and we would, it's the right thing to do, but we're not going to be as excited to do it. And that negative attitude towards the database will trickle down into our actions. We won't take as much control. We won't build as much rapport. We'll just kind of rush through it. The result is that the candidates will either tell us they're not interested in the position, or we'll book them and they won't show up because we didn't build a good enough relationship. And we'll be like, see, I knew it. Database people suck. Again, we've got good cycles like this too. Like maybe we've got a belief that people who have a hospitality background are like super cool and totally easy to recruit. Well, so then the attitude when we see somebody who's got like Olive Garden as their most recent position is like, oh yeah, this person is awesome. And when we're that excited, it trickles down into our actions. They can hear how excited we are over the phone. We build a really good relationship with them. And the result is they're likely to be scheduled for a preliminary interview. And because we were excited and we were so nice to them, they're likely to show up, reinforcing our belief. And we're like, bro, I told you, hospitality people rock. So in context of this, my question is, can a belief be wrong? I personally don't think it can. You're in this cycle either way. If you believe it, you're there day in and day out, reinforcing the fact to yourself that it's true. Both the person who thinks that, no one wants to do sales, and the people who think that like sales is a great entry-level job and everyone's going to want it, they're both right. They keep getting the result and prove to them that their belief is right. So the question is, are you getting the result that you want? If you are, keep the belief that you have. It is serving you well, it's fantastic. If you're not, you can't get a different result without changing the belief. You can't just try to change your actions and hope that'll get a better result. You can't just try to have a positive attitude about it and get a better result. It won't work if you don't believe it's going to work. So the question is, if you don't like the result that you're getting, will you change your beliefs?